In this last part, we want to take our arithmetic sequence and actually take the sum or the series of them, which means I want to add them all up. So to start, let's start out with our sequence, our arithmetic sequence. We'll use A's because it's arithmetic. And we want to add them up, so that's why you're seeing this little summation. And so we'll call it S because it's a sum. We're starting our sum, as always, at 1, if we can, and ending at N. So that's why it's called SN, because you're ending at N. And what the formula says, if we kind of reorganize it, it's on the next page, tells us to take the first value, A sub 1, and the last value, A sub n, and I'm going to do this out of order, add them up and divide by 2, which means we're going to, this part of the formula is telling me to average the first and the last term. So if I just look at this, so we're going to average the first and the last term. And then I can't forget what's on the outside, which is the n. And then multiply by n. So the last part is then we'll multiply by n. So basically what you're doing is you're taking the first number and the last number from your sequencing, averaging up, which is going to give you the number in the middle, and you're going to count that middle number, the number of things, the number of times you are actually adding things up. So it's actually doing exactly what you want. It is adding up all the numbers. It's just doing it in a slightly different way by taking the middle number and just counting that, however many things you are adding up. So let's take a look at this. The formula below it is basically the same formula, just written a slightly different way. So let's look at an example. We've got a sequence on this first one in A of -9, -5, -1, and they want us to find S sub 10. That means they want us to find the sum or series, if we add it all up, the first 10 entries of the sequence. Yes, I know that you could figure out what all 10 entries are and manually add them up, but that would still be a pain. And your tests are timed, so let's assume that we don't have time for that. So we've got one thing. We know what the first term is, -9. That's a huge, important first step. So A1 equals -9. We also can figure out what the common difference is, because the common difference is how do you get from one term to the next. Well, we're going from -9 to -5, which is a +4 right off the bat. So the next one to go from the -5 to the -1 is we're also adding a +4. And all that means is that my common difference is going to be that +4 that we're adding to get to the next term each time. So if we wanted to find the sum, let's look. The formula for the sum for the 10th term, if we look that up, is down here in the middle of the page, says to take your first term, your A sub 1 here, which was -9, and remember that the formula says to take that first term and your last term and average them, add them up and divide by 2. Well, the last term in this one, if you're looking for the sum of the first 10, means that you're looking for the 10th term. So that's what I'm going to find first, the 10th term, so that I can find the sum of the first 10 terms. Well, remember the formula says, it says always to start out with that first term, A sub 1, and then remember you take the n minus 1, which is 10 minus 1 in this case, which is 9, and multiply times your common difference, D, which we said was 4. Well, the 9 times 4 would give you 36, added to your first term, which was a -9, will give you a 27 as your 10th term. So let's go back to our formula. What does the formula say? It says to take your first term and your last term, which in this one is your 10th term, add them up and divide by 2, average them. Well, let's do that off to the side. We're trying to get this all done. Add them up and divide by 2. So we'll get our negative 9 plus 27, and then we'll divide by 2. Well, negative 9 plus 27 will give me, let's see, 18. Divided by 2 will give me 9. So this whole piece over here will give me a 9. Then times, what does it get multiplied by? Times an n. Well, what's our n? Well, we were trying to find the sum of the first 10 numbers, so it would be times 10. So it's our 9 times 10, which is, coincidentally, not coincidentally, what we got, 90. Again, it doesn't matter kind of what order you're doing this in, as long as you follow the order of operations. I just like doing the averaging first, adding them up and dividing by 2, because it kind of gives you a good pattern. And then just multiplying by the n at the end. The book in my math lab will most likely have you do the n divided by 2 first, like we kind of did in the problem, and then just add up the first and last numbers and multiply it by the n over 2. It really doesn't matter. You do get the same number. So what is this 90? This 90 is the sum of the first 10 numbers of this arithmetic sequence.